And yes, we shall. And yes, we shall get right into it. Welcome, everyone. Crash Bell presents The Flow. And it is a second week in January, right? Is it the second week, Mike? I get so confused with this time and this idea of time because my days are just business, 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 and family, 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 and Omar, Omar, Omar. So, you know, sometimes the days just get wrapped all up, and I look up and it's suddenly a new year. What the heck? Now, on this lovely Saturday, we have a lot of things happening for all of you kids out there and all of you parents that had your kids get out of school early, right? Because of the MLK holiday. And I think some schools may even have some teacher, uh, what is the teacher organization day? So for those of you that are out and, having this long weekend, really enjoy it. There's a lot of cool stuff that has been happening around Corpus. And this weekend, there's a holiday on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. And on Martin Luther King Day, we're going to not only celebrate, but also pay tribute to all the things that we as a community, as African Americans, have been through in this nation and all the struggles that have existed. And not only just the African American struggle, because everyone thinks that this was all about the African American struggle, but it was really about all people's struggle. He really stood for making sure that all people were able to walk the streets and be free and feel safe. And so, even for the Latino community, which I'm also a part of, being Latinx, if you will, African American, Latino, Mayan Indian. And so, from there, it's a really important thing to recognize when you see people in our history that have played a role not only to help the time, but to give even my kids who happen to be in the studio with me today the freedom that they have, the privileges that they have, and it's pretty special. Not all of us are old enough to remember what it was like during segregation. Not all of us were old enough to remember some of the things that were happening in our nation. But this is why we pay tribute. This is why we have these special events and holidays, is because we need to remember our history. And unfortunately, in our country, it's a very brutal, unsweet, it's not a nice history. It's a very murderous history. Oh, America. But that's why we're moving in the direction that we are, so that we can make change and we can help not only our nation, but the human race. So, with that said, let's get more into some of the things that are happening tonight. If you guys aren't aware, the NAACP, they're having a MLK gala, 6 p.m. Unfortunately, if you're just now hearing about this, it's sold out. Our bad for not getting it out to you, but we put it out there. That's why it's sold out. It's tonight. It's going to be great. It's going to be really fun. We're going to go and we're going to dance and we're going to shimmy and we're going to talk and we're going to parlay, and everyone's going to have a good time because we're all there specifically for one reason, which is to celebrate and commend the actions of Martin Luther King. Fun fact. Fun fact. Did you know Martin Luther King was not Martin Luther King's birth name? Like, no, no, he changed it apparently. Yeah, yeah. His actual born name was Michael, so you guys have the same name, Mike Luther King. That doesn't ring the same bell though, right? Something about that. He was smart. He must have said it a lot. He's like, you know what, baby? I'm gonna change my name. Martin sounds much better. Martin Luther comes off. It rolls off the tongue nice. So I do have a special guest. Two of them. They're tiny. They are my kids. We had some people that were supposed to be in today's talk talking about Martin Luther King Day and the things that are happening around Corpus and all that fun stuff. But some unfortunate things came about, and as life happens, we have to make sure that we are always adapting, and we send our prayers and energy to the families of the people that were supposed to be here, and we thank them for even giving us a heads up. But whenever there's family crisis, I'm not always thinking, let me let them know that I'm not going to be there. So thank you for that. But I do have my kids in here. I have my oldest son.
Hey,
who's 17.
hey.
His name is, what's your name, bud?
My name's Ezra. Good to meet you.
Hey, say hello, Corpus. And then I have my youngest son, who's also here. What's your name? Nice. And how old are you? Nice. He sounds 40 right now because he's a little nervous. What's up? Your voice is a little cracky? That's what happens sometimes whenever you get up on the mic. I'll give you some of my coffee because we forgot our water, but you cannot. No. So he reached for it, everyone. He reached for it. Do not give your kids coffee at that age. They will be bouncing off the walls. It's like that. If you're a parent, you've seen these shows where they like. I think it was the Chickmunks, right? The Alvin and the Chickmunks when they ate sugar, and they were like
Oh, crazy.
everywhere. It was crazy. It was hilarious. That's how kids really are when they eat sugar. We talked about that on an episode once. What sugar does to your brain and how it affects the kids, and we expect them to go learn after they've eaten only sugar for breakfast. That's smart. But anyways, kids, thank you for joining me on the show today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And it's pretty cool going back to that whole idea of the, access and being able to, have my kids on the show, right? And just have the freedom to be in this space in our country right now. It's pretty cool. And I did have some questions because my kids are very interesting. Interesting. What are they called? They're not millennials. What are they?
We're Gen Z, I think.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, it's like, but is Gen Z a zillennial? Like, what does that mean?
No, I think it's just Gen Z.
So I was Gen X, though, right? I'm Gen X, and you're Gen Z.
And in
But
between that is
millennial and zillennials are between that. Is that what that?
millennials. Zillennial?
Yeah, zillennials after millennial. Yeah. So maybe zillennial is Gen Z. Maybe that's what that means.
Maybe.
That would make sense. So Gen Z, what do you guys like to do as kids? Like what's the best part about being a kid today?
To do work. Or actually, I have to do schoolwork or in bed.
I got you. So you mean like you don't have to like go
Pay taxes.
you're gonna have to go pay taxes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no 9 to 5. Because at first I was like, well, what kind of work we talking about? We were just on MLK. So you like field work? We're talking about like picking up stuff over your shoulders and walking it far, like real work. But he's talking about 9 to 5. Yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing of your generation. You guys have access to so much technology. Yeah, yeah, it's like technology everywhere. And I'll be honest, there was a time in my life where I actually did not have technology. And my oldest son remembers that because he was there for it. Where I really didn't have a TV, I didn't have any gaming systems, I didn't have any, the most technological thing I had was my phone at the time, which was a BlackBerry. It was awesome.
I had that rock and socket.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Rockin' Sockins. That was tech. I had a bohemian style life at the time. And it's not that I was against technology. I just didn't really have it in my life and I didn't need it. And by the time that he was a little older, I started to get all the tech and all the TVs, and now we have all the things. And it's fun. It's a way to connect. It's a way for us to play and engage with each other, and I love that. And it's funny because a lot of parents out there they actually find tech and the things that are out there are bad for kids, and I definitely can understand that when it comes to how much time they spend on it. But it's also when you think about it from the aspect of connections, you can use gaming to connect with your kids and have conversations while gaming that you may not be able to have just sitting at the dinner table. And the reason that is because your kid is more open. They're more connected with you at that moment. And it opens up a dialogue because you're doing something together. So think about that, parents. Don't always just assume that tech is the bad. I will say that tech is not the problem, it's the way that we use tech. And it's the content that is produced. So if you understand that the content of the tech could be monitored or, um, looked over before you allowed your kids to go on that stuff, then that will be advised because it is the content, it is not the technology. And it's the same way a weapon works, right? It's not the weapon, it's the person behind the weapon. So, same thing. Tech can be weaponized, unfortunately. Even the small memes that they were sending out. We're not going to talk about that, though. Yeah. No, you don't get that part. You don't get that. That's not a joke you get. But anyways, let's go back to it. So my kids, they actually they have a very special life, and I'm grateful to give them that life. We have when it comes to schooling, my kids do specialized schools. Not like, because they're, special kids, even though they are special kids, but they're sometimes really special kids in all the senses where they don't listen sometimes, like whenever you wake up in the morning and you're like, hey, let's get out of the house so we can get breakfast tacos before the radio show today on this Saturday, right? And you get 1 second, you get like told, oh, wait, what, wait. And then we leave and it's later than the time we were supposed to leave, right? And now everyone's like, oh, we're not going to get breakfast tacos. Like, that's the consequences of your action. Didn't that right, sons? As that happened this morning. Yeah, it's okay. Well, we're not going to blame. We're not going to say it was your fault. Let's just say that
Definitely play a large role in this.
both of you could have easily not procrastinated with putting on your clothes and putting your shoes on. And for all parents out there, for some reason, it takes kids 17 minutes to put on shoes. I don't know. It's the exact number, 17 minutes. And in that 17-minute time, they'll have their shoes on at one point, and then they won't for some reason and won't know how their shoe got off. So for all you parents that have experienced that, man, yeah, we got this, guys. You got to be. Yeah, you're right. Mike, see? Witty Mike. Got to be the shoes. Seriously, 17 minutes. Okay, so my youngest son, he goes to homeschool, and it's a co-op over Adventure Church. So, no, at Venture. Haha, that's funny. It did sound like I said Adventure Church, but it's at AT Venture Church, and that's near Driscoll, right? It's awesome. He loves it there. And tell me, what do you like about homeschool? I mean, yeah. Well, could you kind of break down what a homeschool co-op is? Because most people may not think of it.
Just with less people.
Yeah. And so,
And
is it? You go from 9 to 3. Say, I think let's say 8.
it's like
But you don't know what normal school is because you don't have any friends that go to normal school except that one kid. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. But he's in New York.
he goes there for the sport.
He's in Brooklyn, but he's in the Bronx, so this doesn't count. They have different schedules.
Yeah.
But yes, so most people think homeschool is like your kid sitting at home and you're teaching your kid, and that is a form of homeschool. And there's many forms of homeschool. And for all you homeschool parents out there, homeschooling is more difficult than you may think, but it does give you a ability to really monitor and understand what your kid is learning. But I tell you what, for all homeschool parents, you may be able to understand this. The carryover is frustrating. Trying to get the kids to understand the carryover could be really tough. So if you were not good at math, I would suggest you do a little bit of math before you try to do that carryover with your child because it's going to frustrate you. Now, one thing about homeschool, I'm curious to know before we take this break in 3 minutes. Excuse me. What do you think about the teachers and the people? Like how you've been to a public school when you were younger back in New York. So now, what would you say is cooler about the teachers at this homeschool?
Well, I mean, the teachers at homeschool were nicer. The teachers at homeschool are nicer, but people at public school, they like, okay, only my pre-K teacher smiled. But when I went into kindergarten, like my kindergarten teacher, she barely smiled. And when she did smile, it was like this really weird, creepy
It's like,
school.
oh my God. The New York public school, like,
Yeah.
I had teachers, my fifth grade teacher, never smiled. You remember her?
Hmm.
She was super mean.
US.
And then when she would smile, it would be like this witch smile, like I caught you doing something.
Jesus. Yeah, so all of you, if you're out there and you are wondering about homeschool or if you're against homeschool, there's many benefits and there's many things that you can do. Homeschool is a way of living. It gives us freedom to do whatever we want. As a business owner and as homeschool parents, we can, we have the ability to make our own life and schedule, and it's amazing. It's the type of freedom that most people don't get, and I'm sorry for that, but it is fantastic. Literally, we can go wherever we want, whatever we want, and we can tell us what to do. It's beautiful. Except for my oldest son, he goes to a boarding school, and that's in Cali, and that's a very specialized school where he studies music. And he's in his senior year. Let's talk a little bit about that. So what are you looking forward to about the rest of this year, son?
I'm looking forward to, okay, so for listening, for a little context of what my schooling system is like. I go to a boarding school, meaning that there, live there, sleep there. I come home like every 2 months to come see my family, what I'm doing right now. But our schedule is pretty much 8:30 to 9 p.m.
Jesus, that's a long
Meaning
schedule.
of course, I'm taking breaks, I'm eating lunch.
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
But I have academics from 8:30 to 1, and then usually we have art classes from about 1 to 6:30, depending on your major. And then usually I personally go practice to not reach curfew.
Cool. What a life, huh? What do you think about that, Mike?
I practice songwriting, so I do songwriting, I do production, I'm a multi-instrumentalist singer.
What all instrument do you play?
I play the guitar, bass, drums, piano. Used to play clarinet back in fifth grade. Um, thing we got to produce. One
stuff.
saxophone.
Nice. Sax is great. Sax is great. So we're gonna go ahead and take a little break real quick, guys. We're gonna get to this little commercial break. We will be back with the flow and back with some more special guests and these wonderful kids of mine to talk a little bit of shop. And we are back. We are back. We are back. It's been a fun time. We were just talking about the schooling that my oldest son goes to. And for all of you that are curious, it's a great school. There's a lot of challenges, but, dealing with the disassociation or the disattachment of my son going to a school in another state actually does have its heavy parts of the battle as well, where, clearly he's away, so we miss him and we don't get the full on, like, hands-on approach to his schooling because he's so far away, although his mom and I are very hands-on when it comes to his education. His mom is an educator, so she's, like, very, I wouldn't say strict and stern, but she's very strict and stern. Would you second that, son?
For sure.
Yeah, but we do everything we can to make sure that our kids are set up, because sometimes we got to be stern with these kids. So, um, what about you, Ez? I didn't get to ask you that question. What is the best thing about you being at this age and a kid and exploring?
Um, I mean, I think you said it. The best part about being this age right now, especially with the generation I'm growing up in, is the ability we have to explore.
Yeah.
Whatever. The internet is so fast, and
Yeah.
the way we think is. I like to think it's so open for the most part, at least when hang around life.
Yeah, I think that's um, yes and no. I guess you do have some communities that are your age that may not be as open minded,
Yeah, for sure.
but I will say that that's really cool to hear you say that, because a lot of the youth today specifically do have access to things that help you to understand things and explore more. And as you know, and as it's said, knowledge is power. So attaining knowledge is the whole goal. And the more you know, the more you understand. I was having that conversation with my youngest son the other day about appreciating education, because the more you know, the better you can put yourself in a state or position to succeed based on what you feel success is. Period. You have control. You have the ability to understand more. So knowledge is power. Keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the new year, guys. We're in the new year. Last week I talked a little bit about people trying to keep their routines up in the new year. What is this new year looking like for you two? Any plans? Yeah, that's a big one. One.
I don't know. It was just like it was a fun year.
That is cool. And it was a fun year. But we can make 2024 just as fun. I think we will make 2024 just as fun.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And you said at college. Whoa. Dang it, man. Jesus.
Not really.
You don't have a choice.
Mhm.
So as far as it goes, New Year's, everyone out there, if you are moving into the second week, the end of the second week, that is, of your New Year's resolution, it's about this time where people start to fall off and they get a little lazy, or they procrastinate, or they even start making excuses to why they're not going to do the thing that they said they were going to do. So I want you all to understand that this is the moment where you hit that wall, because it's your neural processes that we talked about that are the habit that you formed over the however many years you've been doing it. So to assume that suddenly, because of January 1st came around, you're going to all of a sudden know how to change your habits is not true or accurate in the process of how your brain works. It's going to say what? Go for it.
Think about New Year's. What's your New Year's resolution? Your goals to achieve this year?
Mine? That's a good question. I actually don't really do New Year's resolutions. Um, I don't believe in it. So let me explain them. Okay, so in if I were to say I'm going to have a New Year's resolution, I'll start in October. I'll prepare for my New Year's resolution in October and start giving myself momentum. By the time I get into the new year, I already have some strides ahead of me. So that's the way I like to do it. Like this year specifically, I knew once October hit, once the business was ironing itself out and we were, successful in this wonderful city of Corpus Christi, I knew that this year, the one thing that I wanted to add, I have three areas of resolutions. So my personal resolution is to um, get a little bit more deeper and intimate with my spiritual practices. Be a little bit more cognizant of my consciousness, and see how much I can let go of this year, the things that don't serve me anymore. On a parenting and a family level, I want us to do more traveling together this year. And on a business level, I want to continue what we're doing with growing and helping our veterans, but I also want to add and bring on, well, add to the corpus practice mental health. I want to have some mental health therapists that I want to hire, and that way we can start servicing our veterans and the community of Corpus so that people can understand they have support. So those would be my three. But again, I wouldn't say they're New Year's resolutions because I started in October. Does that make sense? And thank you for the question.
Um, I hold a pretty similar standpoint. I don't particularly believe in trying to resolve things once, specifically because the new year has begun. Um, but I think this year, set resolutions as I go.
Yeah.
Decide what I need to work on and fix as I live this life.
Good stuff. What about you?
So this year, I want to learn how to like not always be spending
Mhm.
on myself. But
Yeah.
also wanna learn to do
Take your time, you got it.
Mhm.
He's holding his hand. He's holding his hand. Well, there's a lot of things.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
He wants to learn some dance moves. He's been into dancing and moving. So he's actually a great artist too. Both of my kids are great artists. I draw some really cool stuff, and I would like to see him explore that because he said make money, right? He's led paint and sips. So like for adults, he's showed adults how to paint, and he's in. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's how good of an artist you are. It's amazing. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, we got 1 minute for this show, and this has been a pleasure to have my children on. My oldest son is getting ready to go back to California tomorrow, so this has been such a joy to show him what his dad has been up to while he's away. And with that said, thank you also, Kai. Thank you, Ezra, for entertaining the city of Corpus and blessing the airwaves with your beautiful voices. Yes,
Thank you
you,
for having
of course. And thank you, Mike, for all your help back there on the ones and twos.
me. Thank you.
We are out. Have a good weekend and celebrate MLK. Make sure you get out and you support somebody. Be well.